Another American has been killed in the Philippines. The crime took place in the province of Abu Shan, uh, in the big island of Mindanao, the eastern part of the island. This province is part of the eastern side of the island, which has many resort areas where many. It's not unusual, not typical that people from all over the world visit this island. I mean, only the southern part of the island, which has been there has been warning of not to visit because of some civilian unrest. There are a couple of, if you I would say, rebel groups that have been sparsely sporadic with activity of little violence, against the, of course, the government. There, the issue in the southern Mindanao is not new. These rebel groups are fighting for their own autonomous region and their own way of life. And but besides the point that what's going on in southern Philippines, the eastern part, which is located the Abujan um, province, um, these American was Ralph Eugene Manacle with his spouse, which is this person, a member of the LGBTQ community, that they were visiting this expat, were visiting the Philippines. Of course, they were visiting the island, that particular part of the Philippines, in the Mindanao province, in the Mindanao island. And well, what took place, what did develop like another day, another sunny, I mean, tropical day, beach day in the island. They went, like everybody does, right? They went to the ATM machine. Mr. Manacle went original from, he's an American citizen, American U.S. citizen from Massachusetts, from the state of Massachusetts, and he and his partner, his spouse, legally married with this person of the LGBTQ community, uh, LGBTQ community. So they went to the ATM machine, withdraw some money, and well, those are the evidences that so far the police investigation in progress is still in progress. Well, this took place last Sunday, and then what happens next is really, about is really, to take notice of it. What took place after withdrawal some money, withdrawn, which is a routine for any visitor. I mean, when you go anywhere, basically anywhere you go, Latin America, Mexico, anywhere, you use your ATM machine. I mean, the ATM machine in the localities for your Visa, Mastercard, whatever you, American Express, whatever card you have, to withdraw money for expenses, of course. Or I mean, you use cash. I mean, cash, which in the Philippines, which is very unusual to have that amount of cash. I mean, most likely it wasn't that exact amount. What they say, they found. I mean, the amount was stolen. That was stolen from him before shot him to death. Was 850, the equivalent of 50,000 pesos, Filipino pesos, which is I don't know, $860, American dollars, US dollars. So typically, I mean, usually in the Philippines, if you withdraw money from an ATM machine, it doesn't have more than 20,000 pesos. But so we assume that, I assume that the rest of the cash, but he had some cash, existing cash in his bag, backpack, that they had a car. The car was parked at a certain area at night in the middle of, around after 9 o'clock, 9:45 p.m. Um, so shots were fired, and then somebody's dead now, um, on the street. Uh, what he was trying to do, according to witnesses that came, that were nearby, and his partner, which was not even touched, wasn't, only the child, they, whoever did, or who, or more than one, we don't know how many people were involved in this case, but the shot was, they just, I mean, the person who, ran out of, the criminal, you know The suspected person just shot him. That was it. The other was his spouse was unarmed. I mean, nothing happened to him. So we assume. I mean, I assume that this situation it was just another crime, another robbery. The motive was to rob his money, and that's what took place apparently. He was going to this trunk backside of the car, and then that's when he was shot, and the criminal, the thief, and now convict, now yeah, fugitive, of course, because they haven't got the person or persons involved in this situation. In this case, in this tragedy for a American family. I mean, my heart goes to this family. I assume that this is somebody's son, somebody's brother, sister, you know, in Massachusetts, in the United States of America, who are, trying to figure out what happened, in a foreign land, far, far away, thousands of miles away, in the other side of the planet, um, you know, enjoying with his spouse the beautiful country of the Philippines, which has been, you know, very attractive for many millions of expats, trying to, trying to find a nice place in the Philippines, which is still nice. I mean, besides this incident, I mean, well, I wouldn't call it just incident. I mean, this is a crime, definitely. This is a sad situation. This is a tragedy. It's not just an incident. I correct that. So what happened was that he was, I mean, well, never thinking about. He was not aware of this. What was it? Was he wasn't that he wasn't alone. He was with somebody else, of course, his spouse, right? So, and it wasn't like 2 in the morning. I mean, drunk after a bar. I mean, it wasn't something. Apparently, it wasn't like that. Well, toxicology reports has been released from the Filipino police, but that we, according to the prior, briefing of the police, it just was he was shot, and the robber just took the money and ran away. That's what so far we know, and that of course, when something like this happens, in anywhere. This happens in the province of Mindanao, I mean, in the island of Mindanao, right? But this could happen in any of the other island, big island, It could happen in any big cities, any other big city like Cebu, Dumaguete, BGC in Manila, Bohol, and other, the other beautiful cities and towns, provinces in the Philippines. But it happens that the coincidence that it again, I mean, just really, we remembered not too long ago, couple was like around 3.5 months ago, another young man from Maine. Remember that fellow that was kidnapped at gunpoint by the beach and took in a speedboat. He was taken away. In this case, well, his wife, a Muslim, lady. Like again, this has nothing to do with religion or anything, but well, it happens that the Muslim lady was his wife. That he fell in love with this young lady, and he moved to southern Mindanao, which is very much it's not according to the warning of the U.S. Embassy and Western embassies in Manila. It's not like the proper place. The warning is not just it's okay to live there. It's okay if you visit the area, but just be extra careful about how on your way around. I mean, the places you visit, just take extra precautions to it. Where you go, who you're meeting with, But this fellow, the young man, the first young man that was shot there. I mean, they was kidnapped, and then days later, the body was found by the beach from Maine. Again, this is the northeastern part. Massachusetts is the northeastern of the United States, and Maine too. Maine, uh, the previous American who was killed, he was kidnapped and killed. What a coincidence, right? But has that they're both from neighboring states in the U.S., right? So just a little observation that has nothing to do with the case, of course. And again, when I mentioned the spouse being from the LGBTQ community, of course, there is nothing, nothing on the investigation so far that has anything to do with another, a third person involved, or anything to do with any public, feud or dispute or romantic dispute of any kind. This was just a simple, I mean, just like the way it is, the way it shows, that's the way it looks like, right? Like I said before, the investigation is still in progress. I'm sure we're gonna be getting updates about what's going on and how far. Of course, the Filipino police of all on this investigation. I mean, the result of the progress of this investigation to this young man, I would say, because he was Raj Eugene Manakel was only 56 years old. I mean, that's a very young age. I mean, he wasn't even a retirement age. But I'm sure that as an expat in the Philippines, most likely he was, scouting, and he was looking for a place with his spouse where to settle down, and maybe that part of the country, that part of the Philippines was one of the places where he was exploring, just like many other thousands of Americans and Europeans, Australians, Japanese and South Koreans, looking for a nice place to, in the, either in the provinces or in the big city of Manila and other places, beautiful places, Negros Oriental, Negros Occidental, where to find a nice place. And just remember that let's just review a little bit that Mr. Manical, the now deceased person, victim of this crime, his spouse is, Filipino, just by his last name. I think it's Dan, by his, they're identifying this person, the spouse, and he's from a Filipino descendant. So most likely that was, they were trying to, they were in the area, of course, to enjoy the resort area and beautiful beaches on this eastern part of the Philippines, eastern part of Mindanao, island, and that they were just about to check in a nearby hotel, nearby nice, it wasn't a low class hotel either. I mean, the hotel mentioned is a just, 3 4 star hotel, 4 star hotel, in the standard, in the Filipino standard, of course. So that's what took place. And now, the question always comes, when something like this happens, is that what about safety, security, and all the precautions that we've been talking about for years now, for for years, the expat experience in the Philippines. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this is a crisis, or like, I'm not saying this is a trend that you have to really, that looking into it before, for the people who are planning at this moment, to move to the Philippines. This is not. I'm not like trying to, trying to like put, like a red lining, or like a big warning. I mean, to you. I mean, if you're, what I'm saying, all I'm saying is the paranoia that evolves after something like this happened. Then, after days, or when this is gonna be solved. Of course, I mean, this is gonna be so. Some are unsolved, crime stories, but I don't think in an island there is almost no. Most of the time in these islands, in any island, anywhere in the world, usually crimes, I mean, there's nowhere to go. I mean, you commit a crime, there's a robbery, where are you gonna, I mean, this is an island, right? Of course, there are ferries, and you can use people can use speedboats. The criminals, the organized gangs can use speedboats to escape to a neighboring island. But you got what you gonna do? Go from one island, what these people, the bad people I'm talking about, from island to island. Eventually, they're gonna be caught, of course, but it's gonna be solved. But the paranoia thing, the paranoia issue is that how is this is safety and security. Some people say, look, uh, life is cheap in the Philippines. They say, right? That's what the opinions of people. Look, life is cheap. To me, life is valuable. Life is not cheap. I mean, anywhere you want to look at it, if you think that life is cheap, they say, well, it was only $860, which is almost less. It's less than $1,000, which is almost nothing. I mean, for many people, or for some people, are in the Philippines. In the Philippines, it's a big money. I mean, if you think about what people make, what's the minimum wage in the Philippines, which is almost like around $200 per month. I mean, think about that. 850 is like a five, almost little more than 4 months of salary. I mean, this is kind of money. But if you think 850, they say, well, it was killed for that life is cheap because only $850 to take it. Of course, life is valuable. Life is not cheap for anybody. But think about it. I mean, you can in Bronx, New York, in New York, in Chicago, Southside Chicago, in North Miami, you can get killed for people are shot to death for $10, $20. You can get killed. How? So it's not the place. Let's get out of the way about because it's the Philippines, is a developing country. They start uh, many YouTubers are starting to speculate about, well, this is a developing country. I mean, many people are really having a really hard time to put the food on the table and minimum wage, and there's lots of unemployment. It's a developing country which there's a organized gangs, and the life is cheap. That for almost nothing you get killed. In the Bronx, where the Yankee Stadium is located, think about that. The Bronx Zoo is located in the Bronx, right? In Bronx is one of the five boroughs of New York City, right? Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, right? All these beautiful, districts in and Staten Island, right? But in the Bronx, I mean, at night you go 7 o'clock. After 7 o'clock, some areas in the Bronx, in the projects, I mean, area or any, in more in many areas that that you're supposed to be safe, you are assuming that with the effective police, New York City Police Department, I mean, being efficient and effective, in doing their work, you're gonna be safe. No, you're not gonna be. There's not 100% safe. I mean, safety anywhere. The shooting takes place almost every other day, every day in some areas of the Bronx. I know I'm not saying just single out one district, but think about it. Because somebody gets killed in the Bronx area, you and your family or me, you're not gonna go to the Bronx Zoo to have a really beautiful family time. The famous Bronx Zoo. People doesn't go to watch the the Major League Baseball team, this famous Yankee, the New York Yankees. Play the New York Mets. The classic of New York City. Of course they do. Thousands of people do it every other. Sometimes every week. Sometimes when they have home games, very much twice a week. Sometimes when they go visit. So people, do their routines and go on with their lives anywhere we are, anywhere in Latin America, Mexico, uh, the Philippines, Southeast Asia. So let's stop the paranoia. The paranoia thing about, well, now everybody has to be armed. Everybody has to have for protection. You have to get I mean, let's don't start with that. I mean, of course, I'm not saying. I mean, if you're a Filipino citizen, of course, you can register legally. I mean, to have your shot. I mean, for your own protection. I mean, but if you are just an expat living in the Philippines with just a resident card or 13, I mean, which is a temporary resident, or a visitor living there. I mean, some people with a visitor's visa, with a tourist visa, spend years. I mean, spend years in the Philippines without having their residence card. So it's not like a unusual. So let's don't start thinking about, well, now you have to take you have to make extra expenses wherever you live, any provinces, whether this is Dumaguete or BGC or anywhere, Makati and other beautiful areas in the Philippines. Now that that's the thing about the paranoia. I mean, you compare this to other expats experiences. Like remember John McAfee, the guy, I mean, I'm just give you a little experience of what took place in Latin America. I mean, there was some what he was when he was living in Belize in Central America, that he had all these armed guards and armed, I mean, security people with his dogs in the beautiful San Pedro Island in Amberge, area in one of the provinces in Belize. Belize is a small, of course, small country in Central America, only 300,000 people, compared to the Philippines. But the idea of, one of his obsession was having guns and having security people always protecting him and all kinds of, and he wasn't even like he wasn't even a Belize citizen. Who he had a British citizenship and American citizenship, of course. But well, Belize being one of the colonies of British, the United Kingdom. Recently, they gained independence in the 1980s, right? So, but he had some rights on why he was in why he was in Belize. So well, it was a little paranoid to see that for him, in a way that we assumed that he was really concerned for his safety, and with good reason. With different, there was different motives, of course. He had different reasons why he was a little paranoid about it. Because of in his own interviews, he said he was giving the reason why he had so many guards all the time. And there was another tragedy that took place in Belize, which is out of the question. But what I'm saying is the paranoia. I'm just comparing here what the experience of an expat in Central America, in this case in Belize, Mr. McAfee, which was now he's well passed away a few years ago. I believe it was like close to 4 years ago. He passed away in Spain when he was like a detained, and he was, of course, he was wanted man. He was like living as a fugitive in the last couple of years. But let's say, if we compare the Latin American experience of, safety and security wherever you want to go, and wherever you want to go and live and improve your quality of life. I mean, quality of life meaning that you have your assets, you quit your job, or you are in your retirement age, and you want a second chance in life. So the expert experience is really rich in, rich, not I'm saying in money, but rich in, uh, in a way that you want to be able to have those golden years that we always have different conversations. The golden years in which you can find a nice place to live, a peaceful place to live, with the expenses, low expenses, good quality of life, and find that significant others that we all craving for, right? I mean, that you can have a second chance in life, not just from broken marriages, not from failed businesses, wherever country you're coming from, like the US, Canada, Europe, and there are thousands of stories, not one of them. So that second life, becoming an expat, it gives you that second opportunity. But being paranoid, I mean, about obsessed with security and your safety, of course you have to be, concerned about when this situation happens, just like, with this, tragedy with Ralph Eugene Mackin. Uh, so of course, it raised, your eyebrows, mine, about, just to be extra careful wherever, anywhere you go in the Philippines, not just Mindanao, but Mindanao has been like a red zone, a red area for many, the thousands of expats and visitors but many people visit. I mean, as long as you can, know what to do, have local people, local contacts, like local people, from the community, where you can have your reference, what area of the city you shouldn't go, just like anywhere you are. If you are in Houston, I mean, Houston, LA, I mean, it's good to have somebody, a reference, somebody you can ask, which, or you do your research on the online internet, you do research online, and you look at the statistics about the police, work, police, activity, where, areas that is considered, like I just mentioned you too, I was mentioning Liberty City area, North Miami, and there are many places downtown Miami. I mean, of course, there has been many improvements. Police work has been effective in Miami, New York City also. I mean, but there are always, like in Hempstead, Long Island too. I mean, there's some areas that really, it's after 7 o'clock you don't want to venture. I mean, there, go to an ATM machine in the middle of the night, and in areas where you shouldn't be going. But sometimes we assume that of course, you go to a place, that as a visitor, of course, an American born or American US citizen, I mean, you stand out. I mean, anywhere in Latin America, in Asia, I mean, just by They profile you. They would mean the criminal gangs that you are not from there. You are not a local person. I mean, that's that's easy to spot, guys. So in Latin American too, right? But look, if you just blend with the community, I mean, you have to have a social base. You need to, wherever you plan to be, anywhere, Argentina, it could be Ecuador. Many people will live in Cuenca, Ecuador, and of course they take their precautions. I mean, some cities, of course, are safer than others, right? So you look for the best place you can find, and this is the weather. I mean, there's so many points that you can take. I mean, the weather, how safety and secure is the place, how is safe, how reliable is the internet, wireless communication, how is the food, the rent, wherever, is the rent, below 200 dollars, for a house, two-bedroom house. I mean, nice provincial city. And but it depends what you want. I mean, if you want to live in a beach community like in Costa Rica, in San Jose, Guanacaste area, of course the price can be a little more. Of course, it could be a little more. I mean, but um, and of course, safety and security is a plus. I mean, safety is good. I mean, do your research. I mean, do we all have to be concerned about where wherever you are, and as you move around. I mean, anywhere you move, about what to do with safety. I mean, even in your own city, wherever this. Let's say that uh, when he was in Massachusetts, with his home state, of course, if he was born and raised in Massachusetts, things change, guys. Things really change. I mean, demographic change in many cities, um, which is ethnic tensions has nothing to do with it, but demographics change. People come and go all the time from anywhere you are in the planet. It's hard to say that wherever you go, I mean, where you want to settle, find yourself, find a place and you can call home. I mean, things change, things evolve. There is what it's called gentrification, what took place in Queens, New York, right? I mean, there are always things. I mean, not are static. I mean, nothing is forever. Have you heard that phrase? Nothing is forever. Things change around us, But that's life. Welcome to life. Welcome to the real world. And I'm not trying to justify what happens in Mindanao with this, this person, victim, Mr. Ralph Eugene. I mean, I'm really, it's sad to hear this kind of stuff. You know what? It could happen to any of us, and not just in the Philippines. It could happen in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Latin America. But of course, if you take the proper precautions, meaning you do your homework, then that's the first thing. Do your homework about everything, how banking works in a foreign country, how what are the rules of the land wherever you found the place where you're gonna explore and venture, where you're gonna call home. That's your second home. That's gonna be your second country, most likely, right? Because you want to, that's the idea of the life, the expat life experience, right? Like for instance, here in Tegucigalpa, to have to uh, obtain a driver's license, all you have to do is turn in your show your driver's license from your home country, your passport, your U.S. passport, and of course the residence card is important if you have the resident. If not, if it's in progress, I mean, they'll take consideration for that to have a driver's license. And of course banking, to for everyday business, of course, you need to have the local banking working for you in case you're moving in a place like Tegucigalpa or San Jose, Costa Rica, or anywhere you are. Of course, these countries, each one of the Central American countries and South America, Mexico, they have their own local, rules and laws. That guide. There's a guideline for how business is done in each one of these countries, of course. So even marriages. I mean, I don't want to get out of the issue of this situation. What happened, you know, but even getting married. I mean, there are like, for instance, when I got married, I mean, a year and a half ago, there was like eight rules, eight requirements that could be, that I had to pass through the whole process of eight requirements to be able to get married. But in other, if you go next door, the following country, next door country, Guatemala, the rules could be different. Maybe there are only 3 or 4 requirements, right? But of course, when as an expat, if you marry a local girl, I mean, or you don't pick. I mean, if you are in love with a person from Guatemala, you don't pick. Well, I'm gonna get married with somebody from Honduras or from El Salvador. You don't pick the person. You just fell in love. Whatever country is from, that's what it is. Or if you come single to this, you know, in Latin America, of course, you can find your significant other. I mean, it could be anywhere. I mean, we're not saying a particular country is the appropriate for you, depending on each, depending on what's you're planning, what's in your mind, what's in your heart. I mean, what are you really in the decision? What I call pull the trigger. Pull the trigger means the decision that a life changing decision you're making. If you're just about to get that ticket to go to that foreign land, that like Latin America or Philippines, I mean, which are very attractive for Western men, especially retired men in their now in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and even 30s in some cases. Just like this fellow Brian Dillard, he's over 40 years old in BGC, describing life in one city. But it's good to your own research, of course, and YouTubers help a lot. I mean, the people who are boots in the ground, and they will explain. They're good information about that. They're Some of them are fake. People wanna just do I guess views of numbers, but some are really some information are really honest information, thoughtful information, and credible information you can rely on. I mean, but try to be before you're making a decision, don't rely 100% of what somebody's saying, but try to make a consolidate different sources of information and say, wow, this information about this, like the information we're sharing right now about this crime that took place in eastern Mindanao, this crime, this horrible crime, that took place in eastern Mindanao, which is, the most of the issue about violence is in the southern Mindanao, but this eastern Mindanao, there was no, previous, uh, issues with safety issues that many. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying there's zero crime in the area, right? But what I'm saying is that these resort areas is they're thriving. I mean, they are making many thousands of visitors visit these areas with with the trust that this area is safe to be but like I say, do your research. It's a sad story, but let's don't start with the paranoia of that safety, that you have to get protection now, like about this. Of course, we have to balance the issue. Balance the issue meaning, well, this is just a reminder that life is fragile. That anywhere you are, whether you are in Dumaguete, I mean BGC, Cebu City, I mean Makati, anywhere you are in Manila, in one of the districts in Manila, or Negros Oriental, I mean, it's good to have extra precautions of again I'll just say it one more time, and guys, so stay safe, please, and we all need to stay safe, and life is fragile, life is beautiful, and remember, life, I don't agree with the idea that some people say that life is cheap in the Philippines. Life is valuable anywhere you are, anywhere we are in Latin America. Every life counts, every life is valuable. We are all creatures of God, creation of God, and that we are valuable. There's no money that can buy a life. So whether it's that's people say, well, a life costs $850, like in this case, this tragedy, for $850 a life was taken. Sad, but let's take care of ourselves. Give a hug, give a hug to your loved one if you have one, and if not, guys, let's take care of ourselves. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like. Thanks. See you in the next video.